Listen to me. Your life matters. What you do in your life matters. You were born to do something great with your life. You were put here for a reason.
Trying to prove people wrong or right about you is a cheap level of motivation.
Want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. Kids, you need to know this. This too will pass. Usually what happens, I want to give you a compliment if you're being bullied. This has been my observation because it was true with me, it was true with you, and it's true with a few of the boys that I'm interacting with right now. And actually one young lady on social media. People mistake your kindness for weakness. And eventually your kindness in life is going to be one of your great gifts and strengths. You've turned your kindness into your mission, into your cause. And so they see your kindness is what it really is. They see your goodness and they mistake it as a child, just so you know, for weakness. Don't lose your kindness through this because it's one of your great gifts and that's what they see in you and they don't understand it. And so all kids that are bullied are the most kind, sweet, gentle kids. And by the way, we also a lot of times have the capacity to really put a hurting on somebody if we could, but we just don't think that way.
Listen to me. Your life matters. What you do in your life matters. You were born to do something great with your life. You were put here for a reason, which is to make a difference in the world, which is to change your own family's tree, which is to do something great with your life. I promise you, you were put here for that, in little ways and in big ways. And there will be an echo for your life. The actions of your life will echo into eternity. The question is, will that echo for you be a whisper into eternity or a roar? And you get to decide based on the actions you take every day in your life, whether the life of you, whether it had a big meaning and it roars into eternity, or whether you play small and you just whisper into eternity. You get to choose that. I know you were born to have a roaring echo in this world long after you're here. Maybe it's not a jet or a beach house, but it's the good things you do. It's the seeds you sow of goodness and the contributions you make for others that ripple into other people over and over again, far beyond what you can even imagine. That's your legacy, that's your life roaring its echo into eternity. But if you shrink, if you play small, if you don't take risks, if you don't take those actions, if you don't keep improving, you don't keep growing, then your life will just whisper into eternity, and you weren't put here to be a whisper. You were put here to be a roar into eternity.
Trying to prove people wrong or right about you is a cheap level of motivation, and it will wear out. In other words, it's not the lack of it, it's not the best type. People say, well, hey, Tom Brady, 6th-round draft pick, I mean, he's constantly trying to prove them that they picked the wrong guys. I know Tommy a little bit, and I can tell you, that motivates him, but if you think he's become the greatest football player of all time because he's trying to prove people from 20 years ago wrong about where he was drafted, you don't get elite performance. Tom Brady is where he is because he sets standards for himself and has massive goals and ambitions for himself, not to prove other people wrong. I promise you, when he's sitting under center in the Super Bowl, he's not going, I was a 6th-round draft pick. That's not what moves him. And so I think it's low-level motivation. I do it too, and the sooner you drop, it's the symptom of the same disease. So proving your family wrong or right is a symptom of the same disease, which is you are still obsessed with what other people are thinking about you and not doing things that make you happy, that enrich you, that fulfill your soul. And so the irony about spending your life worrying about what everybody else thinks about you, here's the irony, is that those people will never be thought about after they're dead. So they spend their life obsessing with everyone thinks about them, only to die and have no one ever remember them. Because people that are so obsessed with what other people think about them never really ever fulfill their potential. So once you can drop that addiction, whether it's friends, strangers, or your parents, and you begin to do things that fulfill you, that make you happy, that change other people's lives by your contribution, now you can be remembered. Now your life echoes into eternity, even if it was a quiet life. There's a thing in our culture that's killing our culture. It's killing success. And that is that we've become addicted to other people's opinions. We've become addicted to other people's approval. And social media is wonderful, but it's all about how many likes do you get? How many selfies can you take? And that may feel good when you get it, but then what it does is it governs your behavior. You begin to only do things to seek other people's approval. And even when you get it, right? It's short term. It doesn't really feel very good. It's not fulfilling. What we really want is not just success. We want fulfillment. The way we get fulfillment is self-respect, is self-confidence. And that's how somehow in your life you must begin to separate what you do from what people think about it. You know this. The people that have really won in life and in business, they eventually drop the addiction to what other people think about them. They're most concerned about what they think about them, or if they're a person of faith, of what their God thinks about them, not the rest of the world. Because the higher you climb, the more haters you're going to have. There's absolutely no question about it. You ought to hope you have more of them. The only thing I will warn people of is the higher you climb, the closer to you the haters are. So right now, if you're at one level of success, it's people at a distance that are haters. But as you climb higher, there's always the one or two people in your close circle who begin to try to pull you back down because they think you're leaving them. They make you, your success is making them uncomfortable about where they are. And so they begin to do everything they can to pull you back down. So the closer the haters are to you, the even more success you're having.
You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. And so for me to picture this little boy who's sitting alone at lunch getting pizza and chicken nuggets thrown at his head and nobody will talk to him, to the guy at the homecoming game, to the Dr. Pepper party, right? To the drug addiction issues, to do all this. I mean, what can you do? Folks, listen to this. What could you do when you start to hear what this man's done in his life? And he's right. There's all kinds of people that have helped him. But he also had the courage when he had that prayer, when he had that dream, to start to take some action and then take more action and more action.
I believe the solution to self-doubt is to build something bigger than that doubt, which is to build our self-confidence. And one thing to know about the fact that you doubt yourself is, one, I struggle with it as well. One of the reasons I've had to go learn to build all these tools for myself is because in my life, my baseball career, my academic career, my business career, my speaking career, I've been riddled with self-doubt. That creeps up all the time in our lives. Am I enough? Am I good enough? You weren't born doubting. You weren't born discouraged. You weren't born thinking negative things about yourself. Those were thoughts that were placed in you and given to you by an external source at some time in your life. It could even be our parents. Don't do that. Be quiet. Sit down. Be a good boy. Be a good girl. Maybe it was criticism you received as a little one that you may not even remember to this day. The process of building self-confidence is actually very easy, believe it or not. Self-confidence is self-trust. Self-confidence is building a reputation with yourself that you keep your word to you, that you keep the promises you make to you. When I meet somebody who has a ton of self-confidence, I don't look at that as somebody with a big ego. There's a difference. Somebody with self-confidence has a reputation with themselves that I do the things I say I'm going to do. That's where self-confidence comes from. When I meet someone who is not self-confident, I know this is someone who has consistently made promises to themselves they've not kept. They've started a diet and done it for a while but not kept it. They've made a commitment and goals to go make a certain amount of money in business, and they started down the road but then they didn't deliver on it long term, to get up at a certain time of the morning and then they don't do it. And so they have a process and a habit in their life, more often than not, of not keeping the promises they don't make to other people. They don't keep the promises they make to themselves.
So for those of you that struggle with taking criticism, you got to ask yourself, how important is it to you to grow? Because you were put on earth to grow, to contribute, to serve, to help. You were in your way. And the current version of you is perfect as it stands right now, but it will be inferior next year. You're perfect as you are now, especially you ladies listening to this. There's all this messaging, you're not this, you're not smart enough. Women are too dominant, then they're a diva, right? Or you're not beautiful enough. Ladies, men, you too, you are perfect as you exist right now, but that version of you isn't sufficient next year. You gotta be crazy, hungry, crisis to get to that next version of you.
The person with the biggest reasons wins. And so, you know, I don't think all the time people think, well, there's internally unbelievably motivated people. No, you have huge reasons. If you're willing to have the courage to attach how much you love your family and your children to you winning in your business, you have a much more greater chance of winning. But most people don't let themselves get that vulnerable again, where they'll attach big reasons because you might lose.
Right.
You know, for you to say, I'm fighting for these guys, that's a vulnerable thing to say. It jacks up the reasons, so when you win, it's greater and for bigger purpose, but you're taking a bigger risk by saying that, right? And so it's the lack of vulnerability that cheats us out of all the riches in our life. And the person with the biggest reasons wins, almost always in life. You have huge reasons, but there's a few things you should know, and I know you got to tell somebody. And if your mom's not listening, tell your dad. If your dad's not listening, tell a teacher. If your teacher's not listening, tell a coach. And if all of those people aren't listening, I promise you, there are people that love you, that believe in you. There are. You may not see them right now. They're in your life. They care about you. They believe in you, and your life is still going to turn out magnificent.
Yes, it is.
And in many ways, better, because you've gone through this. You don't deserve to go through it, but it's going to give you coping skills, resiliency, toughness, all kinds of things that you aren't going to get if you don't go through it. But we want it to stop.
Yeah.
And whatever you do, don't ever do harm to yourself.
Yeah.
Ever do harm to yourself. Talk to somebody.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around. If you'd like more, click the videos right here. They're exactly what you need to see next. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and become a part of the Max Out community. And tell me what you think about the videos in the comments below. I read all of them every week, and I select winners that get all kinds of prizes, gear, coaching calls with me. Make a comment.